Perfect. We are live. We are live. Fantastic. Hello, Jandre. Lovely to chat to you today. Super excited to hear some insights from your side on the week that we are in and tomorrow. It's just so interesting, everything that's happening with Black Friday. How are you? How are you keeping up with all the sales?
Yeah, we're doing well. Thank you. Bit crazy. I just distance myself as much as possible from all the noise. I run away from it, let other people deal with it. No, I'm joking. No, it's been hectic, but we're grateful. Yeah, like companies are doing well, clients are doing well, our own businesses are doing well.
That's great.
Great time of the year. Yeah, energy's high, excitement's high. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, I actually read something on Facebook the other day. Someone just said, if you hate money, don't run a Black Friday sale. And I thought, yeah, that is quite interesting.
It's hard to make it profitable. That's the thing. I think a lot of people do enjoy running Black Friday deals because they enjoy the revenue that comes in, because obviously all of a sudden people start buying and you're seeing sales and it feels like your business is doing well. But at the same time, it's not always profitable. So a lot of people actually lose money because they don't know how to structure their deals, that it's attractive to the public and also profitable for the business. So that's one thing I've realized. It's like really hard to get that balance right. So a lot of people smile and they excited, and then December comes and they do the accounting for the month prior, and the accountant was, oh, you lost money, bro, a lot. And then so that's I've seen that happen a few times. So just that's something to be cautious of for those listening.
Yeah, it's interesting. And there's also something else that I actually noticed, and I think it's something we spoke about last Black Friday, last year's Black Friday. It's when people have sales of like 10%, 20%, it's just like, really? No, not interested. So it's interesting, like people want like big sales. And we actually have one. Someone said to us, she's running ads, and it's one of our students, and she's not doing Black Friday. And she was like on the call the other day, she's like, I don't understand. I'm not getting sales this week. And we're like, do you have a Black Friday special? She's like, no. We're like, but that's the thing. It's an interesting time of the year. So if you are strategic about it, and that's actually what I want to ask you a little bit about. You can do great, but like you say, it can also be at a loss.
And also, if you don't do it, someone else is taking your customers' money. So it's like, that's how you should think about it. It's like someone else is taking your customers' money, which means they're not going to spend money with you because someone else took it. So you need to try and grab their money before someone else does. And at the same time, you need to try and make it profitable for yourself, which is hard. But yeah, I mean, what's the question? Is there a specific question there? Or is it just how do you make it profitable for yourself and attractive to the public? That's a bit nuanced, but we can dive into that.
I think, yeah, we can definitely talk about that. I think it's just about the whole Black Friday thing. And it's interesting why people love, I personally, I hate Black Friday. I don't like going to the malls. I don't like Black Friday deals. I literally hate Black Friday. And I just find it fascinating that people actually love Black Friday so much. It's interesting because I don't like sales. Generally, I don't like sales. I don't know why. It's interesting.
I think it's psychology, right? It's a psychological day. A lot of people spend money they don't have. And I think a lot of people, usually the normal person, I think feels guilty when they buy themselves something nice or expensive, or something which they really want but probably don't need. I think someone says, Armando says, I don't know if you guys noticed, but because the barrier of entry of ads is I thought someone else says they can't find the live on Facebook. I thought it was a technical thing. Nonetheless, getting back to your question, it's psychological in my mind. I think a lot of people love spoiling themselves. However, I think a lot of people, most people, feel guilty when they do, because times are tough. You've got people to help within your
Mm,
direct environment, whether it's family, friends, or people that you might be responsible for, whatever. And when you buy yourself something, sometimes you feel guilty. And I think Black Friday is that day where you don't have to feel guilty about buying anything, because everybody's buying anything. Everybody's buying everything.
mm,
So I think there's a level of guilt that's removed, which then opens up the floodgates to just buying shit and not really having to deal with much the consequences, except for the credit card bill. I think because it's a mass movement, you're also more inclined to spend more and interact and engage more with what brands are saying. So everybody else is saying, what are you buying? What are you looking for?
mm,
You just see ads everywhere for Black Friday. So it's almost like a collective movement, and therefore it's easier to engage with it and also partake in it. And at the same time, it's only one day or 1 week in the year where it gets this, where this movement really happens. So there's fear of missing out, urgency, scarcity, all these very impactful emotions connected
mm,
to this movement. So you don't want to miss out. You don't want to be left out. You don't want to lose out on a good deal. There's urgency as well. So there's a specific time when things are coming to an end. So you have to make a decision. You don't really have time to think it through. You don't have a week or a month to analyze. You don't have time to shop around and hoping for the best deal. Or if you do have time, it's a lot less than you usually do. So the decision-making process is compromised. And I think those three things collectively is what creates the hype and also the amount of things that people buy.
So what do you feel like? So obviously you've been through a couple of Black Fridays with some of the businesses. So what do you feel like you have rediscovered or learned, or like maybe taken from this Black Friday that's maybe different or maybe not, compared to the last couple of years?
I think it depends on what level you want to have the conversation, right? From what perspective are we talking? Are we speaking from a very technical perspective? Are we speaking from a marketing perspective? Are we speaking from a consumer's perspective? I'm going to take the approach of just being a business owner that has I'd say, our own online stores and other businesses that we would like to see succeed outside of the marketing agency and investment arm that we have. So if I take that approach, I think it's a matter of understanding that this is a huge opportunity and always is to find new customers. I think in the beginning, I looked at Black Friday as a way to make money. I look at Black Friday now as a way to penetrate certain parts of the market that I wasn't able to penetrate prior. You know what I'm saying? So it's a matter of, we have a specific brand that we're working with right now who has been running at a loss for the last 6 months, and just like the uptake on their products are just not great. So they came to us about 2 months ago, and I said to them, you have a really great product. I personally think the messaging of the brand is what's the issue. Like, people are not resonating with the brand the way that they should. Now, that's a very difficult barrier to overcome, but we can use Black Friday as an initiative to get people to actually try the product and enjoy it, because it's an amazing product. It's just, the product is just misunderstood. The brand is misunderstood. So in this case, Black Friday is acting as a catalyst almost to get people to try the product. And funny enough, they were doing about 200,000 Rand a month on average, but they were running at about 100,000 Rand a month loss. And this month, I mean, 100,000 Rand it's a lot of money, no matter how rich you are. But at the same time, to some people, it's really, not a lot of money. But in essence, 100 grand, I think, from a normal business owner's perspective, is a lot of money, and it's not lacquer to run at such a kind of loss every month. So we use Black Friday as a way to just discount the product, because this is the time of the year where you can discount a product without any repercussions. I think there's a lot of business owners out there saying, I don't want to do discounts. We're not a discount brand. You know what? Apple is not a discount brand, but even Apple is doing Black Friday deals, because even if you're not a discount brand, this is the time of the year where you can run a discount without any brand repercussions, purely because everybody's doing it. So no matter how premium you are, yeah, maybe Ferrari and Aston Martin and Lamborghini and Rolls-Royce are not going to do Black Friday deals. Given maybe Rolex, I don't think Rolex will do a Black Friday deal. Maybe they do. I'd be actually interested to see if they do. Maybe we can go onto their site tomorrow and check it out. But even them, even if they don't, there are brands like Apple and other premium brands who are participating in Black Friday because it's the only time of the year where you don't have to actually deal with the repercussions from a brand standpoint. So I said to this company, I said, guys, the nice thing is Black Friday is not going to damage your reputation because everybody's doing it, number one. Let's use Black Friday as a way to actually just get more people to try the product. And funny enough, we went from 200,000 average for the last 2 months to this month, we're already sitting at 630,000. So we might get to 800,000 as a total for the month, which means we would have done 4 times more, which means we would have had 4 times more customers, 4 times more orders, 4 times more people trying the product. And hopefully out of that growth, there's a level of people who come back now and try the product recurringly on a monthly basis, because it is a product that you can use on a monthly basis, which is great. So this is answering your question, and I weaved a bit, but this is how I look at Black Friday today as a business owner versus how I looked at it 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I looked at it as let's make money and hope for the best. Now I'm looking at it as this is a great time to get customers at the cheapest cost and get them to try the products that I want them to try so that they can hopefully tell other people and come back. And then that's really all it is from a business perspective. Then there's the marketing perspective. I think we need to understand that so many more brands are jumping onto Black Friday. So if you're a marketer who is marketing your own business or other people's companies, then 3 years ago, it was a golden era where you can just run ads, click a few buttons and start making sales. But because so many companies are now jumping onto Black Friday, the problem we're seeing is that the cost of advertising during this time goes up dramatically. And the issue we have is that you're discounting your prices a lot too. So not only are you making less money per sale, but you also spending a little bit more to get the ads to show because there's just so much competition. And that becomes a double-edged sword for businesses purely because you now run the risk of making less money on a sale and you're spending more, which means the margins of profitability are shrinking massively. And at the end of the day, that puts your business at risk. If you are not a business who can afford to run at a loss and do an initiative like the prior example where you can just get customers to try the product and see it as a win, then you will be putting yourself back financially. And if you have a very tight financial runway, meaning cash flow, then it's almost better to take a loss in sales as opposed to making more sales but giving the product away at a complete loss and then running backwards. So I think this is where every business becomes unique. And I think the advice around Black Friday becomes unique to every single business too, because Black Friday in the past was just let's get people to buy and make money. But now it becomes there's so many more dimensions to Black Friday. There's so many more micro opportunities within this movement that we can leverage as business owners.
So I think there's a few things that you said. Hello, Nadia. Lovely to have you here. I'm going to go to the comments just now. Guys, if you're watching, we are having a super interesting discussion around, Black Friday, because that is where we are at the moment. So go and comment below, say hi, tell us where you're watching from, or even share it. I invited my community. I think if Nadia is here, definitely. So she said I was scared to do a Black Friday deal on my therapy because of that reputation damage. But I'm also trying to grow my brand, so I went in for it. Anyway, plus Magriet made me try it. Yeah, so it's an interesting point, Nadia. I'm actually happy that we are talking about it, because that is so many people are scared of that reputation thing. But another way that I learned to think about it is that, yes, you don't want to be a discount. How I explained it to another customer, I said to them, so I had these 3 people on a Zoom call, and they've got a very nice brand, and they don't want to do all these things on the website and this and that. And I'm like, I get that, but let's think of because I always like to compare it with big brands out there that we know and that we love. So let's compare it with a brand like Woolworths. And we looked at a few things that they do. For instance, they would say, 3 for the price of 2, or they would always have the sticker on their beautiful salads and things like 10 Rand off. But then it says 10 Rand off when you buy 2 or 3. I'm not sure, but it sort of plays with your mind because you actually don't know how much you're buying. It feels like you're paying. It feels like you're paying 10 Rand. So the point I wanted to make is that even a brand like Woolworths, that is a luxury brand. It's a high-end brand. They make use of these tactics, like sales tactics, but just in a classy way. So there are ways. So that was before Black Friday. So there are ways of doing this. And what I've also seen, so before I was in this industry, I worked in the game auction industry where we did these massive game auctions where people would buy a buffalo for like 20 million Rand if you are maybe the president. Or so really, like, it's massive money. So auctions turnovers would be over hundreds of millions. I can't even remember. And it was so interesting. So what we did is we would make up these little gifts for these people. And it was also the same thing. Like, you would think these people don't like little free gifts because they have all the money in the world. But it's so interesting that even people that spend like 5 or 6 million Rand on a buffalo or a whatever, I can't even remember all the game that I worked with.
Can I say something quickly?
Yes,
right,
please.
that buffalo story. You know how much money the president made back on that investment? Do you know?
But he did. So it
No,
depends which
can I
one
tell
you're
you?
talking
I know.
about. Yeah.
So he bought a buffalo for 20 million, right? And he made over, I think if I'm not mistaken, he made over 100 or 150 million on that deal because it was such a prime buffalo. Don't want to digress too much, but it was actually very strategic. Like, he didn't just buy it because it was a cool buffalo. He actually used it as a breeding opportunity, and then he sold all of those calves that came with it, and he made millions. So it was a brilliant investment.
But it was only for him because the rest in the industry lost so much money. But yeah, that's very interesting. But those people, they love getting stuff for free. It baffled me. Like, you would think, because I was also so I consulted for different people in the industry. So the one time I was with this one farmer and his 2 sons, and they bought like, I don't know how many millions that, but they just the fact that they did small things, like they gave us some gifts, they transported us with a helicopter. It's small things that these people can pay for, but just because they got it, it made them feel so good. They loved it. So it's also that thing of even rich people like a deal. And especially what I've seen with a lot of rich people, a lot of them, because they worked very hard to get to where they are, they love a deal. They still love a deal. Even if they have a lot of money, they still love a deal. So there is definitely something to say about the reputation, but there is ways to do it in a way that it actually gives that person a good feeling. And that is, at the end of the day, what you want. But that game industry is very, very interesting.
Listen, I think a lot of people make a lot of money, and I've realized, like, there's just infinite levels to this game. But there's ways to make money that helps the environment, and there's ways to make money that's not constructive to the environment. And I think ideally you want to pick the latter. But long story short, Armando, thanks, man. Jandre, do you like e-com stores because they're easier to scale than your traditional local businesses? Actually, funny enough, yes. That's a very great question. And I can sum it up in this way. Under V8 Capital, we have 8 companies now. 2 of them are local businesses. The one is a cleaning company, and the other one is a aesthetic clinic. And the cleaning company took off like a rocket, did really well. And it kind of like got stuck because the only way to grow that now is to find new locations. So that company is limited at, I'd say, 200,000 Rand a month. You can make 60 grand profit if everybody takes a salary. But now you're limited. That's where it is. Mm-hmm. You can't scale that really unless you take on a lot of risk. And when I say a lot of risk is subjective, completely depending on who you are and what skills you have. But you're going to have to get a new team, new location, and whatnot. So the only way to really scale a local business in a way that you can make a ton of money, but it's going to take also a lot of stress on your body, is franchising. So that's a model that we're exploring now for next year. Is we want to franchise that cleaning company. We'll probably open up one or two more of our own branches in the same region. But then we don't want to take the risk of going into a random suburb in Cape Town that we don't understand. Because that you need to do studies on human behavior and customer behavior and consumer behavior in those areas. You can't just go and open up a cleaning company if I don't understand the area. So we knew the Centurion area is going to do well. We know Midrand will do well. We know Johannesburg will do well. And those most likely where we will have deployed 3 teams and we'll do really well within that. Everything else we're just going to franchise, ideally, in order to scale. The laser clinic, on the other hand, is exactly the same thing. It's about having a location, and now you only have so many people who can come into that location. And the only way to scale that is to find new locations or to franchise. And that requires a lot of effort, mental effort, not just physical effort, but also mental effort. Our online store, even though it has a lot more moving parts, I think, because a local business is a bit more sustainable because people see you. If they've been there, there's a higher chance of using you again or coming back. So I think the risk of losing money is probably a little bit less. An online store is a bit more volatile, but you can grow so much faster. And if you know what you're doing, hopefully you can do that consistently too. And I think that comes in with knowing your numbers. We've taken an online store. We've taken 2 stores now, actually, from 0 to, I think, the one business did 4.2 million last month, and the other one did 3.9 million last month. And basically, both of them are basically between 12 to 18 months. That would have never, ever happened if it was a local business. Not from inception to 18 months later. It might happen if you franchise and do those kind of things. So, answer your question, e-com stores are a lot more scalable. But the only way you're going to scale them if you understand the levers that you have to pull on the back end, which is Facebook, email, Google Ads, logistics, warehouse. We've now moved warehouses. We've moved from the lady's garage to a warehouse. Then we moved from that warehouse to another warehouse. And now we're already too small for that warehouse. So it's just, again, there's logistical nightmares on that end as well. But I think they can get overcome a lot easier when it comes to a local business, because location is so hard. A really prime location is so hard to find when it comes to local businesses, and that makes or break you. That can make or break your business if you go on to find the right location. And I think a lot of people see, the rent is only like, 2 grand a month or 5 grand a month or 8 grand a month. Yeah, because it's a shitty location where nobody goes. So this is where we've also learned, a hard lesson where just pay the premium because the foot traffic will be there, hopefully, if you're not getting taken for a ride.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously you guys are running YouTube ads as well?
I think so. Yeah. I think Thomas, one of our guys, started YouTube about 3 months ago. So
that's why you're seeing the ads. Guys, if you're watching, comment below, ask your question. I see we've got a question. I just quickly want to touch on something before we go over to the next question. So just from our earlier discussion where you said that 3 years ago, it was much easier. The interesting thing is, okay, so what I see, and I'm going to get your opinion as well, but I have been sort of preaching brand building and organic media for since forever. And what's been so interesting in this industry, and especially businesses doing really, really well using Facebook ads, because Facebook ads is obviously the thing to do. I mean, Facebook, YouTube ads, or whatever. But it was so easy for the past 10 years to actually make money with it. And what we are seeing, like you're saying, is the costs are going up, and it's going to go up. I mean, it's always going to go up as competition increases. The costs are going to go up. But the one thing you can do that can really help you is to build a brand. Now, people don't like building brands. Okay, we can talk about building brands, but what I mean specifically, part of building the brand is your organic social media. So there are obviously many ways, many parts, many moving parts, but just the organic social media part of building a brand is extremely valuable. So in the past, because it's really time consuming, it was just so much easier to run ads and then make money. But what I have seen with brands, with people that start selling online, that do have a great brand versus people that don't have a brand. So it's still possible to make money, but the e-com stores that has an existing brand, obviously the cost per purchase is just so much lower because Facebook does not have to do that much convincing that this is a good product because the brand is already trusted. And that is really something that if I think of 2025 and what to focus on and what to hone in on, that it really is, the creating content for social media specifically in building the brand. And I think an interesting thing is that someone asked me, because obviously, so for me, I'm a coach, so it comes natural, like everyone would say, yeah, but of course you have to create content. And someone was asking me about a e-commerce store, but would that help? So one of the e-commerce store that is one of our students, they have a very public brand, actually two, two of them. And if you couple that, so many influencers and celebrities try to sell stuff, but they don't have the knowledge that you need to have to make an e-commerce store work. So the two brands that I work, they are both celebrities, and then both of them have people in their office that I've trained on the back end, and their stores are doing extremely well because they are coupling the two of understanding how what is the aspects of running an e-commerce store and marketing that together with building the brand. So I really think going forward, even if you don't have a product, maybe you think of, starting an e-commerce store, start by building your brand, start by getting your audience together. You can always then launch something later. I feel like a lot of people wait until they have the perfect product and then they want to launch it in the market, and then they're like, but everyone says I'm going to sell and I'm not selling anything. So that's an interesting thing also to think about, is just, building that brand, even though it's time consuming, it takes long, it's a lot of effort, but it's really worth it.
I think brand is king. I think a lot of people said content is king. I think it was Bill Gates or someone who said that. It's a quote. And to some extent, that's true because content is essentially connected to the brand. But if you have to take it a level higher, the brand is king. Building brand is king. So we say, hey, content is really important. Content is over here. Brand is over there. So yes, you need the content in order to actually establish the brand. But that's how you need to think. It's like what the brand is, what it represents. And I think content obviously helps you build that brand. So that's why we've invested so much, in setups and I mean, this was the first year. I've always done content, but this is the first year where I can say I've been consistent with creating podcasts. I've always been doing it for like 6 months, and then you get distracted. And I said, F it, this is the year when I'm going to go full in on content, and next year I'm going to double down, because that's just what brand is all about, is creating content that, and I mean, content is also subjective. But it's getting the public to understand what you are about. And I think I had a podcast with someone the other day, and he summed it up so beautifully. He says, a brand is how people perceive you and the experience that you give them. So it's like the thing that they remember from you is what brand is. So if they haven't done business with you yet, it's the perception of the
Mm,
experience. And when they have done business with you, it's the memory of the experience. And it's almost like that's really what brand is all about. You know, it comes down to the experience of it all, pre and
mm,
post the purchase. It's the pre experience, which is like this perception in their head. If I do this, if I buy this Ferrari, if I buy this Rolex, how's it going to make me feel? So Rolex, the brand, creates all of this emotion and an inner experience on what it would be like if you had to buy the Rolex. And then after you bought the Rolex, you actually feel that experience. And it's like what people say to you. And it's a conversation starter. It's like, oh, nice watch. Oh, this, oh, that. So it just elevates your whole body and energy. And I think that is the brand that they've created. So the question is, what brand are you trying to create? Because I think a lot of people are creating products or services. They're not
mm.
creating brand. And brand supersedes content, product, service, everything else. But all of those things are part of building brand. But I think so many people look at those small things in isolation and they don't see how all of it actually equates to the bigger picture, which is building brand.
It's so interesting because I had a live last night with one of my students. They have actually a very cool franchise. And then someone said on the live, because we were talking about, they just started with the social media business school, and we've got this challenge, the posted party, where we prompt people to post every day, and they won this. And then we just spoke about, the difference that I wanted to get the experience. And someone said, yes, but does that bring sales? And that is such an interesting thing that people don't understand is how everything works together. So how I see it is there's only like three types of content that you can put out there, and it's basically content to reach new people because that is what is possible on social media. So that is that kind of viral content. Then it's content to build your brand, where you those people that you reach, tell them a little bit more, and then content to sell. But the ratio that I want to look at it is sort of a 70-20-10 kind of, from reaching new people. But then the two types of content are split between long form and short form. And it's actually in the long form content where the selling happens, which is so the social media is more about, reaching those people, but then you need to have that little bridge to take them to either your podcast or your YouTube or your email. I think there's a lot of people, especially in South Africa, that don't understand the power of email marketing and how much money that can bring in. And it's, we spoke earlier this week when we looked at stats of one of our, and that was also online store, money that came in just from sending mails. And I mean, that's basically free money because you already paid to acquire the customer long ago, and getting them back on email. So what I just tried to explain is, yes, they all fit together like little puzzle, you have to use your social media, but then you have to have a bridge into some or other kind of longer form content. So it's really so interesting to look at it and unpack and see, because a lot of the times with social media, people's like, I don't get any sales. And it's just about understanding that, what is the strategy behind it? What was your expectation when you posted? So this girl said, they posted this reel, it got 1,600 views, but it didn't get any sales. But the purpose of the post wasn't for sales because there was no call to action. There was no even a bridge to go to a sale. So it's really about just looking at what is the strategy behind it and what do I want to use it for. So I see social media as reaching new people, and then you must have your little bridge into your ecosystem where that people can come and buy your products. But I think for e-commerce stores, because a lot of people struggle seeing the value of building your brand. I just quickly want to tell you. So we've got this one e-com store that we're working on, and they are doing great with selling. Because when I start with a business, I always tell them, okay, we're going to do the first thing that's necessary. You need to get in money. So we do the optimization, everything's fine. Then we're getting the money. So if the money starts coming in with the paid ads, then we can go and say, okay, so now we're going to spend some money on, building the brand a little bit. So I've got for this specific store, so they were selling products. So now I'm telling the owner, okay, so the money is coming in. We got that part sorted out so everyone can breathe. So now it's time to start building the brand and the brand story, and maybe getting out there more. So we've got some very interesting things that we're going to do next year to actually build the brand. So it's also about understanding, it's not the one, then the other. It's sort of like you do the one, then the other, then the other. It's sort of like, I see it as the circle. You have to continuously build brand, but you need to get the money in. And then as you grow, you can build the brand again. So yeah, it's an interesting thing, this social media.
Yeah, I think people get lost between tactics and strategies. I think
that's the thing. Yes.
I think.
So what is the difference? Because that is the thing. Exactly.
So tactics is micro and strategy is macro. And I think people get lost in the micro and they don't really focus on the big picture a lot, and they don't do the necessary things and pull the right levers in order to build that big picture. And in a world where cost per acquisition and CPMs are rising like crazy, the quickest and easiest way to reduce those metrics in your favor is to build brand. I mean, we've worked with so many companies now. If you've got zero brand, cost of acquisition is high. If you've got big brand, nice brand that people resonate with, and it's decent sized of people who know who you are, the CPA is immediately, it's just so much lower. And we've done this for people. We've seen this in the same industry. So I used to work with a lot of brands in the sports nutrition industry, and we'll find one that's brand new, cost per sale $400 or $500. And then you work with someone like USN, cost per sale $100. And it's like you're using the exact same tactics. You know what I'm saying? Like you're using the exact same media buying strategies and email strategies, and which is all tactics. So I think people focus too much on tactics, and at some level, if you really want to scale, it's all about. That's what I've learned in my life. Millionaires and millionaires don't sit here going, "What button are we going to press on Facebook in order to make us more money?" They think big picture. They think, how are we going to create a culture around our product? How are we going to tell a story? How are we going to dominate the market? Who is the next company that we're going to buy and absorb strategically in order to make this business more efficient? Do we need our own courier system, or do we just plug into someone else? And yes, I understand some of those things sound like, okay, cool, well, that's way far down the line. I get it. But the point I'm trying to make is it's how you think. And I think so many small business owners just think tactics all day long. And the reason we do that is because we're looking for hacks. We're looking for shortcuts to success. So tactics are linked to shortcuts and hacks. And they're not the same thing, but we kind of make it the same thing, because every time you go onto a YouTube video, it's like 3 hacks to do. And I've done that. Like I do that too. Obviously, otherwise the videos don't get any reach, because people only look at the title before they give you, some airtime. So, but it's like, oh, here's 3 things I'm going to do. I'm going to optimize my Facebook ad and A/B test this, and then I'm going to make 20 million. No, it's not how it's going to work. What is going to happen is you're going to A/B test something, and you're going to make extra $5,000 or $3,000 or whatever it is. But it's not so much about the extra $3,000. It's about how that thing that you've now uncovered, the lesson behind it, the story behind it, the actual essence behind it. It's like, oh, people resonated with this more because it was more emotional. It was telling a story. It was, it was a lot more congruent and articulate, as opposed to just a random creative that we slapped that didn't make any sense. And I think it's about taking those lessons and then applying it on a macro strategy, as opposed to just trying to focus so much on the tactics at the bottom, which is if we send 2 emails a week, if we do this, if we do that. And I think it's finding that balance. It's finding that balance between big picture, small picture, big picture today, big picture today. So you have to zoom out, you have to zoom in, you have to zoom out. And it's only a handful of business owners that can do that, and find that balance. Most business owners are just sucked in on the daily, anxiety, stress, reacting to emails and customer complaints. And it's like I'm sitting here with my partner from Sentimental, who you guys can't see, but he's waving.
Show him to us.
I don't think I can, because it's like, I mean, I can try. Jason, stand up there. Oh, no, I have to change this thing.
We want to know if Jandre is talking the truth about your brand.
See, there's Jason. He's a real human being.
Hello.
Hello. So
Good.
Okay, go.
We always hear about your amazing product, but we never see you.
Exactly. No, he's on YouTube. We've had some cool podcasts together.
Is it? I was going to check.
Yeah. So I'm losing my train of thought. The point I was trying to make is that we actually, went through a strategic acquisition, and we realized, in my opinion, this is my perspective, that the people who were part of that acquisition, I love them to bits, really amazing people, but I can see that their mindset is very in the day and very, on ground level. And that affects how they see the bigger picture. So they're thinking inside out, and that creates anxiety, stress, and a lot of other emotions. And then there's other people who think outside in. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So you have business owners who work on the ground, running Facebook ads and dealing with all the necessary things and stressing and this and that, and reacting to life on a daily. And that impacts how they see the bigger picture. And that creates even more stress and more anxiety. But then you get business owners who start with the bigger picture. And then they work their way down to, oh, this is not right, we need to fix this. Oh, this is not right, we need to fix that. Okay, and I think that's the biggest mental shift I've made in my life over the last 3 years. And I've seen the biggest, I'd say, growth in my life because of it too. Because if you inside out, everything is just contaminated with anxiety and stress and survival and micro stuff. But when you start to think outside in, you get more strategic. So you start with strategy, and then that works down to tactics, where people take tactics and that they think that's going to impact the bigger strategy, and it doesn't. That was the conclusion I wanted to make before Jason so rudely interrupted me.
Jason, we're very happy to meet you because we heard so many amazing things about your business.
Like, I've been so blessed with partners, and we were saying, like, I mean, you've met Vickers before, you've met people like Gilbert, you've met, you haven't met Jason yet, but like, I've just been speaking about the devil. Sorry, Vickers was phoning me now. But yeah, it's
Vickers
just been.
Watch our lives.
Yeah, he's obviously being rude. He knows I'm on a line. Right, he's calling me again.
Yeah.
But long story short, I think I've also realized, like, if you can find that, we spoke about energy, right, many times on the show. And I think if you can find that right energy and not get lost in the daily, which breeds anxiety, stress, frustration, and you can stay in the macro, which gives you a little bit more excitement, because thinking about your brand brings you excitement. Thinking about strategy brings you excitement. But when you lost in this order is late and this customer upset, what does that do? That creates anxiety. So you also need to understand how living inside out versus living outside in is affecting your energy as a business owner, and what that energy does to your vibration, and what that vibration does to the reality that you're creating for yourself on a more philosophical level, but a more 100% reality level as well, a real level, because that's what happens. That is the law of attraction. It's like, whatever you're vibrating today, that is what you will experience tomorrow. You are a future teller right now. If you want to know what next year is going to look like, Magriet, think of then what you feel today is a reflection on what your next year will look like, and next week would look like, and next month would look like. So you're predicting your own future by what you're feeling now. And if you just focus on the tactics, on the micro, guess what? It's going to be 80% anxiety and stress, and 20% maybe we can make it. But when you think outside in, it's 80% we're going to make it, and 20%, oh, fuck, we need to get this order out. We need to fix this. We need to fix that. And I think
Yeah.
because 80% of your energy is in the surplus of good and love and gratitude and peace and excitement and fulfillment, you start to attract people like a Jason, and you start to attract people like, many other people in my
Absolutely.
life, because that's, and I think not a lot of people understand, and you can tell I'm getting passionate about this, obviously, but not a lot of people understand how the day-to-day of your business, tactics versus strategies, affects your energy level, and how that energy level affects the actual success of your business tomorrow, next week, and next month. Like the moment I have an anxious day, you know what I do? I just switch off. I'm like, I'm not going to entertain this any longer. I'm going to start doing something else. And then I completely immediately just neutralize that energy until the feeling has surpassed. And then I start thinking about it objectively. And then I change my energy like half an hour or an hour later. So I'll go walk in the mall, go sit at a coffee shop, write some stuff in a journal. And then I go, cool, I've got a clear head now. Let me see how I can fix this. Because now my energy is aligned with solving the problem, and it's not stress and anxiety. Because every action I'm going to take from stress and anxiety, guess what? It's going to bring more stress and anxiety. But if I want to fix an issue that caused me hindsight, historic anxiety and stress half an hour ago, but you can solve that problem and execute on those tasks with the energy of peace and knowing everything will be okay, and love and abundance and gratitude and joy and fulfillment and all those things, that problem is going to go away so much quicker. And that's why a lot of people find themselves in the same pattern every year. Businesses don't grow because guess what? They haven't changed who they are. They haven't changed what they're doing on a daily. They haven't changed how their energy is being affected by what they do daily. They haven't started zooming out, thinking outside in. They constantly thinking inside out. And thinking inside out is going to get you stuck.
Absolutely. So, well, so much to process. I just quickly want to mention, so Shay was just saying that it's because a lot of these big corporations lack passion that used to be so prominent out there. So on that, I just want to say that that is why I so
Sorry,
strongly believe in
I'm laughing.
small businesses and the power of an individual, the business owner, because we live in an age where we can never ever before was it possible for a random human being who's not part of a wealthy family or a big corporation to simply use strategies and tactics and things like that, like social media, to reach massive audiences and take on big corporations. It was never ever in the last 1,000 years possible. Today it is. It is possible. And the thing is, we've got an advantage because we are not a big corporation. We still have so much control over the passion and the energy that that is something the big corporations are struggling with in this age of social media, of where people want that one-on-one interaction, where they want to know who's the person, where they want that service, and where they want to be able to message the brand or to comment on social media, to interact with the brand. That is why it's the best time ever to have your own business. That is, I'm just so passionate about that anyone, if you do things right, can take on any big company. And I think the best result of that, our example, probably is like the Prime version, where they eventually, I think, sold to Coke. But where was that possible in the past, where a random YouTube person could start a big brand like that? And I mean, there are many other examples, but the point is, we are in the pound seats. It's just about number one, managing that energy and getting the other things right. Then there's nothing that can stop you. If you've got those things in place, nothing can stop you. It's just, it's just amazing, the opportunities. And I always love chatting to you, Jandre, because I always get so excited about the opportunities out there, and because I know it's hard out there. People are struggling. It is difficult. And sometimes I would feel guilty. I would feel guilty for other people. But then again, it's about wake up, wake up. There are opportunities. You don't have to struggle, and I really have a lot of empathy for people that struggle, but there's so much information out there. There's so
And
much information on mindset, on business, on all of these things.
I think the one thing I've learned is that I try to convince people about what's possible. So I would used to sit in a meeting and be like, dude, just believe in yourself. You can do this. And now I've realized that only works 50% of the time. Because if you're not in the right mental state to actually receive that information, it's just falling on deaf ears. What I have started to do is just set an example of what's possible. So you, by living your life and building your business the way that you do, in theory, will automatically start to resonate with certain people and go, if she can do it, I can do it. And I think the best way to impact people is just to live to be yourself, I think, and just follow your true north, because that essentially will start to inspire other people, as opposed to trying to inspire them with your words. I think is what I'm trying to say. Inspire them with your actions. And I think that's just the quickest way for people to go, because people only believe things when they see it. And that's the back-ass way of reality. Reality works. What you believe, you will start to see. So I think if you take anything away, if you're listening today, is like, reality doesn't work in what you see, you believe. Reality works in what you believe is what you will see. And most people live reality backwards, which is they will only believe it if they see it. And that's why it never happens, because they don't believe first. And that's reality, because your belief creates your energy, and your energy starts to attract that into your life. So therefore you have to believe it before you see it. And I think I've always had some belief in myself, but every year I just get more and more, confident and more belief. And, you also need to find the fine line between arrogance and confidence, but it's like having understanding of what is actually possible. We are all spiritual beings with the exact same level of power. And I think we think in isolation. We think that person has that skill, I don't have that, therefore I cannot achieve that. And that own limiting belief is why life is showing up in a different way for you. But if you looked at the skill and admired it and thought to yourself, if I put in the time, I will have that skill, and therefore I will build a similar business, if not better, then guess what's going to happen? It's going to start manifesting into your life. I just want to say something. I have to shoot because I've got a call at 10, but I want to address Armando's question. He says, why do you like roasting Jason so much? So Jason and I are just banter partners. That's our relationship. We just banter the whole time. Like, if you had to see our WhatsApp chat is disgusting. It's not something I would want to show to anybody.
It was so much fun chatting to you. And I actually am going to take my teenage daughter now to the mall to get some Black Friday deals, because she cannot wait for all the deals. So yeah, just ending off with our whole Black Friday. So guys, thanks so much for watching. Jandre, thank you so much. It was amazing chatting to you. And show up for your future version, for that version is waiting for you to show up. Bye bye.
Bye bye.